we should be trying to address these problems. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not just saying let's throw money at it because we have money in the budget. I'm saying let's address a real issue that we're hearing repeatedly from the rural people. So,
and we typically do our first grade of the springtime before we decide on the areas that need to be completed, because as the crown breaks down, there's accumulated gravel at the road edge that we like to bring back in and recreate the crown, and it's at that point that we decide if the roadway does need more gravel. And if you know if there's particular problem areas that you know of that haven't been addressed, we'll gladly take those, because we always try and focus on the problem areas first.
Yes.
We know there are roads out there that are habitually in poor conditions. We do focus on them almost every year. So if there's more, send them in.
Well, yeah, they keep telling me, oh, this is a problem, that's a problem. So,
Judges, we had a road report a couple of years ago, and we were putting 700,000 was the number that, and it should have been $2 million to maintain our road. Where are we on that contribution now?
Our typical, that's more.
It's transferring to the reserve.
Yeah, they had focused on the value of capital works we should be doing. Right, we've been in around $1.5 million in expenses between road reconstruction and road resurfacing.
Right.
And you're correct. The needs study identified that to achieve a 5-year plan, we should be putting in about $2 million. And Janet tells me there's a funding shortfall coming.
Yeah, through the long-range plans, we haven't moved any more into that this year to address that shortfall that's coming up down the road.
This budget just includes 2%.
Straight 2%. Okay. 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 Deputy Mayor.
yeah, just a question with regards to grass mowing. You did mention that earlier, but it went from 69,000 to 104. So it was about $40,000 to $50,000 over budget.
Yeah,
So
part of that is performing more work when there's more. When the dry season, it's kind of counterintuitive. The grass isn't growing, but the guys are still able to get more often and do more grass mowing. It's also a better tracking of where we spend our time and reallocating some of the wages. Probably in the past, the wages were clumped in, or maybe the code wasn't done correctly, so we have kept up on reallocating where people's time is.
thanks.
Any of that?
But then it went back down for this year again. So you changed the allocation again.
Yeah, the allocation here is the budget reflects what our 3-year average has been, and then that 90,000 was the actual cost from last year. So that 90,000 is incorporated in this year's number by increasing the average, but on average we have been at the budget value that we placed.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Harbor, any awareness? Dredging obviously is part of the operational here. There's some changes.
So the budget as it's presented here does not include the 60,000 for Charlie's work. Just Janet's preamble that number includes it, but this year has not been accepted yet. The biggest changes here are, I believe this is where we included ice management, and the ice management is under Port Franks, as well as the other $100,000 dredging work that we're doing right now. So that's why you'll see the significant increases. Grand Bend is typically self-funding, and we're showing it as self-funding this year. And Port Franks, less the extra work we're doing this year is typically not self-funded, and so it does draw on the tax levy.
So we may, with our report that we did on the dredging, was part of that to look at the rates for dockage and launch ramp fees to try to recover some of that?
That was one of the options as a way to look at increasing revenue into the business unit. We didn't receive direction to adjust the rates this year, so they currently are staying at previous rates.
So
That's a tough one, I think.
it is,
Increase it.
yeah. To increase the rates for the users that are having a marginal whether they're going to be able to. Councilor Blair?
Is there a way to do tablet receipts for people that if they want to donate to the dredging, to the extra cost of dredging?
Because they're receiving a benefit of that, like they're receiving something from the funds. If it's a straight donation to us, yes. But if it's a straight work on work, no.
Yeah.
If it's additional work
Yeah.
required,
Okay. Councilor Cook?
Okay, so the dredging and ice management at Port Frank is up to 205,000. The Grand Bend was supposed to be break even at, we increased at 60,000, is that correct?
Well, Grand Bend will go up, the dredging allocated to Grand Bend will actually increase by 30,000.
So
So the expense will increase to 67.3.
67.
But up top, on the federal grant side of it, we're anticipating that will also increase by 15,000. So the net increase in Grand Bend is 15,000.
15,000, which should be offset by fees, you're saying?
Well, it probably
It
won't
won't
be.
be? 15,000.
No. So it's likely to put Grand Bend into a deficit position.
12,000.
Yeah.
And, so, okay, but we allocated the 100,000 for ABC and then.
Yeah, the ice management is under ice management as well.
That's ABC, yeah.
And then the dredging includes a $100,000 contract that's being worked out right now. And then it also includes $60,000. So that 171 is actually 230.
it's only 30.
Oh, 30, sorry, 201, yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
201. 201 for
The
dredging.
The
So
the budget
171 is
draft
actually
budget.
201.
Yeah.
Is there any offsetting revenue for that one? No.
No.
So it's actually gone up between the two, about 45,000 then?
Net 40.
Yeah, it'd be that 45.
Net 45. So that'd be good. That is not the part that he's in.
Not in these numbers, but
It's
like
in
being
the
able to.
pre-operation.
Councilor Blair?
Just going back to that donation thing, is there a way we can advertise to the voting community that if you donate money to the municipality, we can give you a tax receipt? I know there's voters out there that would go for that. Is it just a general donation or how
If
does
it's a
that?
general donation, yes. If there's an expectation that comes along with the donation, they have to be clear on, if it's a general donation to our business unit, that's what the big deal is. And it has been done in the past.
Yeah.
Not public, I mean, Queens Republic both done it.
Okay. Councilor Scott?
So in other words, supposing all the voters in Port Franks wanted to make a donation, they could make a donation to the Port Franks Harbor? Or generally, as a general, or they have to make it to the general income of the municipality?
If they're making a donation expecting that they're gonna get the same amount of dollars back in dredging, that's not acceptable for a tax receipt. If they're making a general donation to the business unit, period,
Yes.
they would be allowed a tax receipt.
Okay.
We'd have to be careful if we were accepting dollars that we weren't actually going to be able to give them the water in the river. Careful. Yeah, for expectations that may not be able to be met physically. Governor Mayor Day?
Yes, through you to Janet. Janet, there was that discussion earlier, of course, about approaching the clubs or the organizations and things too. I know when it was kind of dismissed right at the beginning that we could get some extra revenue, that was related to the dock fee increases, right? But there was, remember when that man came with a concern about the dredging, and we said that other jurisdictions, I think Brent said that other jurisdictions had certain charges levied against various associations, and that we're gonna sit down with them and have this discussion about that too. So are we including any kind of funds in the budget as a revenue this year,
No,
or
we
any
don't.
expectations on that level?
No, we didn't because there's no guarantee for that, so we didn't want to apply for it.
So we can't just charge it, we have to obviously
Well,
come to an understanding.
Well,
I
I
guess.
think part of that too is area-specific dredging too. I think that's what part of that will be discovered or worked out through the working group